got to plan. Don't just ignore this one. Document your plan for how to address those healthcare expenses.
Peter, good to see you. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to talk through the hidden budget busters, how stealth costs can derail your retirement, and what you can do about it. So I was really surprised, Peter. Listen to this recent study from Kiplinger's. 43% of retirees are more financially stressed than when they were working. Surprise expenses are often a big reason why. So number one, surprise expense, healthcare, often one of the biggest and most unpredictable expenses in retirement. Also those out-of-pocket costs, even with Medicare. There's so much that we're spending. What can we do?
I'm not super surprised about retirees being more financially stressed. I mean, during your working career, theoretically, you've got unlimited earning potential. You can show back up to work and get more money. Retirement's about the time that we don't plan on working and earning any money. So we've got a finite amount and an unknown amount of time that we've got to make it last. So I think retirees are stressed about that. And do I have enough? How do I make it last? Kind of a limited asset of resources there, and mindset of scarcity can make that a pretty stressful time. And especially when things like healthcare come into the picture, right? We no longer have health insurance covered by our employer. Yeah, sure, there's Medicare, but that does not cover the larger kind of health related events, and is basically just your health insurance with routine, regular premiums, deductibles, and copays, and those expenses add up. In fact, if we do ever experience a more significant kind of healthcare event, healthcare can be your largest potential expense in retirement. That can drain down those finite assets quicker than almost anything else. And so we've got to plan very carefully for healthcare. We talked about that on a recent episode. We've done episodes that are specifically on planning for healthcare and long-term care, but you've got to plan. Don't just ignore this one. Document your plan for how to address those healthcare expenses. Even if it's not like fantastic, at least you have a plan that you have documented and outlined, and your family can understand how to help you tackle these expenses. And maybe you've had those conversations with family. I always encourage that as well. But there are some reasonable approaches to addressing the potential costs of long-term care and healthcare expenses. Life insurance today can be linked for utilization if you do have a long-term care event. So it's life insurance. If you remain healthy and then pass away, your beneficiaries get the benefit of a tax-free life insurance. But if you have a long-term care event, you can use that bucket of assets to help cover the cost. And life insurance is about leverage. It leverages the dollars that you've put into it for those purposes. Annuities provide a guaranteed floor of lifetime income that, like that indicates, will last for life. But if you have a long-term care event, a lot of today's annuities have the ability to increase that amount of income, which if you've got a bucket of money and you've got a healthcare or any expense, you can take more of your money out when you need it the most. But if that account balance goes to zero, that's it. You're out of income, you're out of assets. With the annuity approach, generally when that happens, it just returns back to the normal amount of income. And I say generally because there are some of these that will continue to pay that leveraged amount even after the account balance goes to zero, but you still have the baseline guarantee for lifetime income. So, whether you're here and healthy and just need an income or have a long-term care event, it provides leverage. So again, we've been talking about, Erin, the countdown for retirement. We have not yet got to number 3, which is your largest expenses in retirement, but healthcare is the largest potential expense you'll have. You've got to plan for it, especially as we have the concern of the finite amount of money that we have to deal with to last through retirement.
Mm-hmm. All right. The number 2 surprise expense for a lot of people, taxes. This is because a lot of retirees assume they're going to be in a lower tax bracket when they retire, and that's not often the case.
Yeah. If healthcare is your largest potential expense, for most people, taxes are the largest known expense, except again, a lot of people overlook this. They don't They don't plan specifically for taxes. We've really never had to plan for taxes. During our working career, we can be very reactive. Oh, I showed up to work, I earned some money, the employer deducted such and such amount. Here's how much I have left. That's what I got paid. That's what I get to spend. In retirement, it is a whole different game. And we've got to plan specifically for taxes. If we do not, that can be a big, unexpected, and unpleasant event when we figure out how much we are going to owe in taxes, how much of our money we actually get to keep. So again, as we're looking at hidden budget busters, this is not one that should be hidden. This is a known kind of expense that we can quantify and know how to address it. But a lot of people just kind of overlook this. And it's one of those things that if you do have a financial relationship with an advisor and you have not specifically talked about this, it's like the tip of the iceberg. What else could you be missing that could be hidden underneath? So have that conversation about taxes. Make sure that you are planning proactively for that. And if you're getting the response, well, that's not something I handle. If anybody's making financial recommendations, like they should understand the tax consequences. Maybe they're not doing the accounting. Maybe they're not preparing the returns, but they should be able to have an informed conversation with you about the tax implications of making money and withdrawing money.
All right. Number 3 would be emergencies. If you don't have a good cash cushion and emergency fund, this can derail your finances.
Yeah. And all along the way during our working career, we should always have that emergency account.
Always.
3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, because life happens. And when life happens, it's expensive and you need to get your hands on that money quickly when life happens. During retirement, you might want to have closer to that 6 month. And then you want to have other assets that, while they're not just sitting idle, while they're not just in cash gathering dust, are accessible. And the reason why I stress and emphasize that is that I see a lot of people who kind of have this strategy. Well, I'll just keep 3 years worth of my living expenses sitting in cash in case there's a down market. Well, a down market's not an emergency. A down market is kind of predictable. They happen periodically. More often than not, the market is up, but we can, with some pretty reliable recognition, predict that the market at some point in time is going to be down. In the meantime, those dollars should not just be sitting idle doing nothing for you. So accessible is different than risk-free. And there are plenty of conservative options where you've got the accessibility in down markets, but still have the upside potential to have growth above bank kind of interest rates. So while you absolutely need money in case of emergency, I don't think that you should have idle cash sitting around for the reason of a potential market downturn. There are better things to do. And that's kind of splitting hairs there, Erin. But I think that's an important distinction to make, is that your money should be working if it is not specifically emergency money, even if you don't want to take a great deal of risk with it.
Right. All right. Next, this one, Peter, I found very, very interesting. Family, right? We all love our family. We want to help them, but listen.
Man, are they expensive?
And I mean, it's different for everybody. And we say this without judgment, but 50% of parents, according to savings.com, are financially supporting their adult children right now, with the average support around $1,500 a month. And that includes expenses like groceries, cell phone bills, rent, health insurance, and even vacations.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sort of seems like the definition of adult children has the goalpost has moved a little bit. I don't know if they were quantifying 18 or 21 or 28 or 35, because it does seem like we're staying a little closer to home and more dependent. And hey, maybe that's not a terrible thing, like the nuclear family dynamic, kind of getting a little closer there like it used to be. But, we've heard about the sandwich generation, and that is the generation currently is kind of financially responsible and taking on caretaking for their parents, as well as still supporting children. And I would say nowadays, I'm even seeing people like not even just supporting or helping, but actually raising grandchildren, it takes a toll. Family is expensive. Family is important. We love our family. We would do anything for them. And I think that's in some aspects why there's so much of an additional expense here. I'm not faulting anybody for that. I would do absolutely anything in the world that I could financially for my family. I heard Dave Ramsey talking the other day about pets and how much we should kind of budget for the care of pets. And he's like, well, at the end, it's an animal. But if it was my child, I would spend every dollar I have and then some, right? We would do that. That's what we do. But you've got to make sure that you're putting your own mask on first when you're flying in the airplane. For an analogy, like they always say, put your own mask on first before helping children that you're flying with. If we are not putting ourselves in the most stable situation possible, we do not serve to stabilize those around us.
Right.
So while this might be an expense, like make it an expense that you can still remain financially stable yourself. Don't do it to your own detriment.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I like to, Peter, we all, as you mentioned, want to help our family, and it can be a line item in the budget, right? And then when you reach that line item, I can say, well, Peter told me I can't give you any more money. I can make you the bad guy in that case.
You're gonna blame it on me. That's okay. It's okay. That's a conversation around your dinner table, not mine. It's okay. I can be the bad guy, Erin.
Yeah, it's fun though, because I mean, we've talked about this before too. Talking money with family is difficult. So sometimes when you have somebody who is an outside expert, a financial planner or advisor who can sit down and say, no, in black and white, this is how it works. It's
not feasible, right?
Right.
In a long-term trajectory, setting limits is important, folks. Yeah. And none of us want to do that with our family, but it's important.
Right. All right. So last, of course, we do have inflation. If you don't build inflation into your plan, this is probably one of the biggest DIY mistakes that I read about.
The silent thief of inflation has not been so silent over the last, say, 10 years or so. We've heard a lot about inflation, but a lot of financial plans, projections for retirement. You say DIY. I even see this with plans that have been put together professionally. They assume that somebody's going to be spending the same thing 10, 15, 20 years into the future as they are today. And that's just not realistic. Like, think back 15, 20 years ago. Were you spending close to the same thing that you are today? How many things in your line item today were not even part of your budget 15 or 20 years ago? And that's going to continue into the future. So it's not just the current things getting more expensive, which they will. It's all of the additional things that we're adding to our budget. Like comfort and convenience cost money. So as we get into our retirement years, we're going to want more comfort and convenience. We're going to need more things taken care of for us. We can't do everything ourselves anymore. And a lot of us don't want to. So life gets more expensive when that happens. Make sure you're accounting for inflation, that you've got that worked into your plan. Inflation works the same way as compounding interest. There's this rule of 72 that says whatever your interest rate is, divide that number into 72. That's how long it takes your money to double. So for instance, if you're earning 7.2%, it takes money about 10 years to double. 7.2 into 72. Well, inflation has been a little above 3, but if you take 3 and divide it into 72, your expenses double about every 24 years. And 24 years is in a lot of people's retirement expectations of timeline. So, think about your expenses today. Does your plan account for doubling those over the course of your retirement on a monthly basis? If not, examine your plan carefully.
Well, what's great to talk this through with you, Peter, is while these are hidden budget busters, they're not hidden to you.
No, we go over them.
You live in this world, these risks, and you can, mitigate them now with proactive planning. So if somebody wants to sit down with you, get that financial plan, what's the best way to reach you?
give me a call, and we do it as a courtesy for listeners of the program, for viewers of the video. As a courtesy, we will put together for you the optimized retirement plan. The goal is for you to live life retired with confidence. If you'd like that optimized retirement plan, give Richon Planning a call, 919-300-5886, 919-300-5886. It's most people's goal to generate as much income and pay as little in tax as possible, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. All of these things need to be factored in for lasting confidence in retirement, and that's what the
Absolutely.
optimized retirement plan is all about.
All right, Peter, thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Hey folks, Peter Richon here with Richon Planning. So glad that you are enjoying the podcast, Planning Matters Radio. You know, one of the tools that we've put out there that people really seem to appreciate and really are finding of value is at 919retired.com. It is your retirement tax bill calculator. If you've got any kind of retirement account, your tax deferred, 401k or IRA, this is the website, this is the resource where you can go, you can plug in your own numbers, your information, you can slide the tool calculator up and down for your tax rate or your amount of savings and see what your tax bill is likely to be if you default and defer to the IRS's plan versus what you could potentially bring that tax bill down to. A lot of times it is a very significant savings. So if you have not yet, go to the website 919retired.com, run your numbers on the retirement tax bill calculator.
This has been Planning Matters Radio.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone.